Hi, I'm Susan Swan, and last year I was chair of the Writers' Union of Canada, in which time we approached Prime Minister Harper on many occasions to discuss his very bewildering and strange cuts to the arts. Namely, the cuts were for the promotion of Canadian writing and artists abroad. And I apologize because I get very angry and upset about this. He refused to meet with us. And I thought it might be a good idea tonight if I just read you what I've prepared. It's very short, but I'm going to take the time to address the Prime Minister directly, and you'll hear why. Dear Prime Minister Harper, I'm addressing my talk tonight right to you, because time is running out on my offers to meet and discuss your cuts to arts funding. From 2007 to June 2008, when I was chair of the Writers' Union of Canada, we tried repeatedly to talk to you about your cuts to the promotion of Canadian culture abroad, and you repeatedly refused to meet with us. Did I say refuse? You never even responded to our requests, and you offered no explanation for this cut to the Department of External Affairs, a cut that slashed $11.4 million from our embassies and ended 30 years of government support for writers like Margaret Atwood, Barbara Gowdy, Jan Martel, Michael Ondaatje, Barbara Gowdy, Jane Urquhart, and many, many others who counted on this program to help them grow foreign audiences. Government funding for promoting Canadian writing abroad works. We know this because in the last decade, Canadian authors have won all the major literary prizes like the Man Booker, the Orange Prize, the Impact Prize, and our books have been translated into dozens of languages. Recently, a friend told me about a sailing holiday in the Caribbean where she would go into port with her partner and they would trade two American books for one Canadian with sailors from all over the world. And Americans also agreed, and they would do this trade. So this interesting fact that we have had great success with our writing is partly because, well, heck, I know it's un-Canadian to say so, but our writing is excellent. But we've had, thank you, we have great writers here. I'm so proud of them. And I'm proud of the artists and everyone in the arts community who contributes to our very vital culture. But how did Canadian writers get their reputation? It wasn't just the excellence of their work. It was also because the Canadian government in the old days, and this included conservative governments too. I seem to be talking to the cameraman and ignoring half of you people over here. I'm sorry, let me try and stand so you can all see me. How did we get to be, how did our excellence, okay. You know, guys, I want to reach every one of you because I'm passionate about this. How did our writing get to be so well known? It was because of this program where the Canadian government would give money to our cultural embassies to promote Canadian books abroad. And the Canadian government also gave money to the Canadian Studies program to help international academics study Canadian writers. Now, I'm not talking to the Prime Minister, am I? All right, let's get back on the message here. Why does it work, this promotion and this funding? Because the truth is, Prime Minister, that foreign publishers are more inclined to take a chance on a new Canadian writer if the Canadian government helps to pay translation costs and gives Canadian embassies some funds for promotion of the writer. This is the way many of us built a readership in countries like Spain, France, Germany, to name a few. My Spanish editor emailed me her bewilderment about these cuts which are going to make it hard for most Spanish publishers now to publish new Canadian writers. This is what Pilar Alvarez Sierra said. The power of a country, Susan, its capacity to have a real impact in the world, is also measured in its cultural representatives. I am positive about that. And a country should invest in opening their frontiers to the rest of the world, promoting its writers, painters, filmmakers, and so on. For example, could the Spanish government say that Almodovar shouldn't receive money from the cultural institutions for promoting his films abroad? He deserves it, and he gets it. And thanks to the first time he got money to travel to America and promote his films there, he is now one of the best-known Spanish filmmakers in the world, one of the best-known filmmakers in the world, and a huge publicist for Spain everywhere. So that's what my Spanish editor said. For a small country, investing in the arts is one of the ways that we create world awareness of who we are. Excuse me for a minute, Mr. Prime Minister. I haven't told my Spanish editor yet about the way your government has recently switched the granting priorities in Canadian studies departments from Canadian literature to analysis of Canada's role in Afghanistan. That's right. Your policymakers told international academics, who, by the way, for the past 30 years, also helped to promote our literature to readers around the world. Your policy advisors told international academics to switch their priorities from writing to war. This is true. This is true. Could it be, Mr. Prime Minister, that you don't want to understand the value of the arts? Could it be that you would prefer the arts to be an arm of government propaganda instead of the free expression of ideas and innovation that's so crucial for a successful democracy and a good economy? Could it be that you feel threatened by artistic expression because you can't control it the way you can control access to the media that the media has to your cabinet ministers? I'm afraid I'm beginning to think that's the case. I'm also afraid, Mr. Prime Minister, that Stephen Harper's Canada is not my Canada. Thank you. In my Canada, writers and artists are valued not just for the 46 billion or 3.8% they contribute to Canada's gross domestic product, but because, as my Spanish editor says, writers and artists are our country's best ambassadors whose celebrated artistic expression spreads goodwill about Canada around the world. Culture is us, Mr. Prime Minister, and if we don't value ourselves, the world won't either. So that's why I'm here tonight, to tell you that this is the last time I will try to talk to you about the value of the arts. I'm here with others like myself to reach out to all the Canadian communities who have become dissatisfied with your government and to start a campaign to vote you out of office. We will be talking to many different kinds of groups across the country, Mr. Prime Minister, to retired citizens who are set back by the change in income trusts, women's groups, youth training programs, food inspection, and environmental and health agencies and asking them to vote strategically. We will be asking other citizens outside the arts community and the arts community to focus on swing ridings and unseat a conservative. We've had enough of Stephen Harper's Canada, Mr. Prime Minister. It's mean-spirited and short-sighted, backward-looking and negative, and that's not the Canada I know. It's time for a change. Thank you.